Meet Azra, a grandmother with a passion for gardening. She doesn't know it yet, but she's about to embark on an epic journey. For a decade, she'd watched as people struggled with the stairs at her local station. She'd helped mothers with prams on their way home from shopping up them, or elderly people travelling into the city on their way down. The stairs made life harder for those who were already struggling. Then, her life took a turn. Azra got sick and couldn't move easily. She needed help from specialists across the city, but the stairs meant she couldn't catch the train to get there. She would go past the station and feel powerless. With time, she recovered and decided that she'd finally do something about those stairs. She started a petition, but after 5 years, nothing was done and the stairs remained. The challenge was too great for one person on their own. A friend introduced her to an organiser from the Sydney Alliance, a partnership of schools, churches, mosques, synagogues, trade unions, charities and other civil society organisations. The organiser invited her along to a training session where, along with other leaders, she learnt practical skills about how to make a difference in their local area. Together they listened to hundreds of locals and found lots of people wanted to improve access to transport too. So Azra and her fellow leaders decided to work together to act on what they had heard. They wanted to make sure everyone could get to where they needed to go and feel connected to the rest of the city. They created a clear set of demands and presented them to the people in power. At first, the politicians wouldn't listen. Azra had been down this road before and knew they needed to build power if they wanted to be recognised. They used their new skills, creating a power analysis identifying who they'd need to convince and how to move them. It showed their local state MP only had a narrow margin and was up for re-election soon. If they could bring enough of the community together, their state MP would have to take action. So they met with every group in their area, from the Egyptian Coptic to the Macedonian churches to the Pakistani Women's Organisation. They spoke to people at multiple stations each day for weeks, asking people how lifts would improve their lives. They worked with policy experts and academics, knocked on doors and built community consensus for change. By now, Azra was one of 50 local leaders from a diverse range of local organisations who, through their organising tactics and persistence, had brought the community together like never before, persuading the previously unmovable Premier and Transport Minister to take radically new action. And sure enough, they won and upgrade to their local station ahead of schedule. One of many local wins with big impacts. These very same mothers, cleaners, students, shopkeepers, workers and priests, empowered through the relationships they had built, now stood on the same stage as those from traditional positions of power. And the simple act of knocking on doors and listening to people had extraordinary outcomes. This ability to rebuild and strengthen communities is based on a process called community organising. It works to build a diverse membership audience which is trained to listen to local people, to build teams around issues that matter to them, develop the art of public action, demand recognition from people in power, sit down to negotiate for what they want, focusing on the world as it is and striving to create the world as it should be. But that wasn't the end for Azra and her fellow leaders. Motivated by their win, they have kept meeting every month to ensure that our city is the best it can be. Together, they are the Sydney Alliance, bringing people together so that they are powerful enough to create the change that they want to see. It's based on the principle that stronger, trusting relationships between people and their institutions give communities more power to make change. As well as successful campaigns such as delivering hundreds of new affordable homes across Sydney, improving the safety of our train stations, and making sure people seeking asylum can access TAFE, Sydney Alliance members have also improved parking for nurses and home care workers, protected pensioner travel concessions, and taken action on hundreds of other local issues. The Sydney Alliance exists so that ordinary people like you and Azra can reclaim politics and pass on the baton to future generations. But this is just the beginning. To continue growing, we need you to help and be a part of the Alliance. There are 2 things you could do. Today, enrol in a training session where you'll learn the basics of community organising. Or Help us hire a new organiser by chipping in $10 a month to continue this work. If only 20 people chip in, that will mean 50 extra people can learn these skills each year. By working together, we can build trust, transform our broken politics, and get real things done for our communities. Sydney Alliance.